conversations are my thing. Here's a behind-the-scenes look at my life as a creator and a fellow human being. This is A Conversation with Jordan. Hi guys. This is as real as it gets. I'm currently at home visiting fam for Christmas in my childhood room. No studio setup or anything. But hi, I just wanted to introduce you to this new series idea that I have called A Conversation with Jordan. So anyone who knows me really well knows that I love deep conversations. I love talking about life and the intricacies of why we do the things we do and why we think the way we think and stuff like that. And so the concept behind the series is just to invite you into the conversations that I would probably be having anyway off of camera and just bring some of them to you on camera. The last video that I just uploaded was a video where I took the same footage and made 3 different edits out of it. And I made that video because I needed to get out of this creative rut that I was in. And that creative rut was actually because of the last edit that you see in that video. By the way, if you haven't seen that video yet, I'll link it up here, wherever. That last edit that you see in that video, I originally had this metaphor that I wanted to go execute. And when I went out to go film the video, the kid that I asked to be my subject, that I know through being a Young Life leader, he ended up sharing his life story with me. And so that video ended up transforming into this new idea, which was sharing his story. But for a minute there, I kind of felt like I failed to do what I originally intended to do. I failed to execute this metaphor that I really wanted to execute. And so what you're going to see in this video is a conversation with my friend Naomi, who also knows the kid that I filmed. And we just kind of had a conversation about our reaction to his story, and then we also kind of go even deeper into like philosophical talk and the things that we believe, and it's a really raw, unstructured conversation. Just everything that we thought in the moment is what we talked about. And so if you like being on the fly on a wall in conversations, then I think you're gonna really like series like this. So last thing I want to say about this series is we'll see where it goes and what it becomes, but I'll definitely want to put out more videos that might dive deeper into the creative process and the things that I think, the mindsets that I go through, the struggles that I encounter as a creative, and that's kind of the heart behind this. But first, I'm going to show you the short film that I made so that you have some context to what we're talking about. And after you watch that short film, you can expect a conversation with my friend. So, yeah, thanks guys. I hope you enjoy watching, and thank you again for all of your support. I'm just forever grateful for those of you who are just so kind to me. You're awesome. Okay, without further ado, I hope you enjoy this video. And yeah, okay, that's all I have to say. Enjoy.
A little bit like back, I started playing basketball when I was 3 years old, and it was something I fell in love with really quickly. And it was every day I was out front playing basketball with my friends. And when I was 9 years old, all those friends had moved away. And it was just me and my basketball, and I was like, why is this happening? That was a big thing throughout my whole story, where I had 2 friends commit suicide. My aunt died. I had no friends until my freshman year. And I was just asking God why. Like, why are you doing this to me, God? And I got no answer. And even when I accepted God as my Savior during my freshman year, I was still like doubting Him, still asking that question. My coaches kind of just like, I want to say disowned me, but they pushed me out of the program very fast because of my mental struggles. And said I was mentally weak, and said I couldn't do it. Said I couldn't even be a varsity basketball player. And that obviously crushed me, because that's been my childhood dream since I was 3 years old. Like 14 years of playing basketball just to get your dreams crushed. And it was just like, God, what is this? I guess that's something that like everyone sees, where like they'll doubt God because like they say, oh, I gave my life to Jesus, so why isn't it going up? because you're going to have your mountains, you're going to have your valleys, but God is in your deepest hells, God is on your highest mountains, no matter what. When I accepted that, my mentality went from, I can't do this anymore, I just want to die, to, I have so many years ahead of me and I want to help people that are in that same position as me and help them see Jesus for who he truly is. God, thank you for what you've done in my life. Thank you for showing me that basketball wasn't my will, Lord, but your will was the will. Lord, I get to help people come see you, Lord Jesus. Thank you. Thank you for coming down. Thank you for sending your son. Thank you for loving us so much. Thank you, Jesus. You give yourself away and we don't deserve you, God. Thank you.
That's so amazing. I didn't even know that story at all. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I didn't even know how. I had no clue when I asked you to do this that basketball was that big of a part of your story.
It was my one getaway.
Wow. The context of this video was that idea I told you, that metaphor that I already had in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it played out changed it a little bit.
Cool. What actually ended up happening?
Because all I told Keone is, we're gonna go to a basketball court. Would you mind just playing basketball for me? And you're gonna get cold and wet because it's gonna be raining.
That's right, yeah.
And that's all I told him. And when he showed up, I said, and I also would love to have just a conversation with you. And so what happened was I filmed everything that we did with the basketball. We had the conversation after I filmed him with basketball. So the whole story that is built in, I didn't even film based on his story. I just filmed and then heard his story, right? So that's like how this.
Which is kind of cool. Instead of going the other way around, yeah. How did it change then? Like what changed from your vision?
I wasn't planning on having any of his story in the video at all.
Okay.
Maybe afterwards. Like, I think when I originally talked to you, I was gonna make a video, hoping that the metaphor could stand alone, and then just like have a conversation with him after about this idea I had in my head. I'm amazed at how his story actually tied into so well into what I was envisioning.
Yeah.
Without knowing like the depths of that story.
Was it all like, was it all authentic? Like his like, I love, well, first of all, I just loved how you like the shots of like him totally just like not making it or whatever. It's like, yes, those are the ones like, I don't know, that's reality. But, like his prayer and everything like that. I guess like I just did not expect all of that.
Yeah, even being so young. I don't know if people would know how young he actually is, but you know,
It's true,
still in
yeah.
high school. Coming back to like even the heart on that, like the heart of the video, the heart of the metaphor that I thought is, athletics to me is one of the most accepted places for uncomfortability, not being comfortable, to be good, to be a good thing. And it's like the only, I don't know, I haven't thought of many other spaces in which that is true. That like we're just like as a whole in humanity are willing to accept that training for a sport is uncomfortable, but it doesn't mean it's not good. And it's so crazy to me that it only really feels like it's okay to exist there, but not outside of that. Like you could bring that to just life in general and then go deeper into like also faith and a walk with Jesus. But like, it's like that exact, like, it's just crazy how we have this concept that life is supposed to get easier. It's like, I don't know why we correlate easy with good always, you know?
I was gonna say like it'd be hard because I would want people, like I think I like love that I know Keone because it's like I've heard Keone pray like too, and I've heard his heart and like heard him like be so authentic and so like transparent with his like just struggle and just life. Like I can understand him just like doing that because that is very much like Keone, but it's hard when we live in a world where like so much of that has been fabricated, and like I guess my fear would be like when people watching it like would be like, oh, is this just like what Christians are trying to convince us that like then you just pray and everything's fine? And it's like that's not like knowing Keone's heart. Like no, him like praying isn't to try to just like convince someone like, and I just pray and everything's fine. Like no, like he has an actual like authentic relationship and struggle, and that's what makes, at least for me, observing Keone's life that's what makes it real, is that Keone knows that it's not just like, he's not in this like, oh, and then God's just this thing. It's like, no, God is like, it's rough, it's a relationship, it's hard, it's real, and it's still raw, and he still has struggles, and he still is like being refined. So it's like, if a God's burning you or like refining you in any ways, isn't that like harsh? But it's like, no, I at least I want to be refined. I want to learn discipline. I want to strive, because just like an athlete, like I recognize that's good. Like being dedicated to something is good. There's value in a struggle. There's definitely value in struggle.
Yeah, I was gonna take that, like you just started to, even deeper into the athlete metaphor. Like, I think from a coach's perspective, and from an athlete's perspective, like if a coach sees something in you and calls that out in you and says like, hey, this is something to work on. Like anytime I've had a coach that has looked at me intentionally enough to see something to refine in my skill, I remembered those moments in my being an athlete were some of like when I felt the most purpose, you know, in my athletics, of like, oh, there's somebody who cares enough about how I am as an athlete to teach me how to improve, you know? And I think that's the best model for that grace of who God is, to here's an area to refine out of love and out of hope for betterment of you as a person, not just for the sake of putting you through the torture and the pain of training that area, you know? There's just so many metaphors for what seems so wrong for God, for a way for God to treat us because it feels uncomfortable, that are actually so good, you know? And I say wrong it just is dependent on your perspective, because I don't, at this point in my life, don't view those things as wrong or bad, but I can easily see how and why they would be viewed that way. So, and sometimes, I mean, I'm not saying I never do. There's times in my life where I'm like, still asking God why. Why do I have to learn this way? I don't understand. The complexity, the struggle of life is what, like, and the good. I'm not saying that, like, even through this video, like, there are some moments of comfortability and enjoyment and fulfillment, and plenty of those, not just some. Like, the point is, the title's not, it's always uncomfortable, but it's not supposed to be comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, there's a...
exactly, yeah.
Keone didn't have any, oh, and then I made the basketball team. Oh, and then there was no punchline of like what got better.
You didn't wrap it up in a bow, which I kind of, it's not like, because that's like, and I even love your bow is like, it's not supposed to be comfortable. Thanks. like, ouch. But yeah, like, and isn't that the injustice, I think actually of the Christian Christian testimonies, you know, growing up and being like, and drugs and alcohol and this and this and this and stuff, and then like, and then Jesus, and then everything is great. Like, we always get to that. And so it's like, wrap it up with a bow, wrap it up with the Jesus bow. And like, I think that's the injustice that we have tried to have these like unauthentic, that like life, like, I don't know, like trying to wrap it up. And that God is, like, we have to leave that all up to him. Like, I think, like, I do believe that, like, the hope that we have is that he is going, this is a good story. He is going to make sense of it all. And that is hopeful. And I don't have to make sense of it all. Like, it's not my job. And that's freeing, at least for my personality. And I just have to learn how to trust that, like, that he is good, and that how he wraps this up is going to be good, because he is good. And be honest with people about that too, that falling into the struggle, and that, like, my walk with Christ has not been comfortable. It's been like really hard, but it's also been, really good moments too. It's been worth it, at least. I guess that would be the only thing I'd say. Like, though it's hard, it's worth it. And that's proof of the relationship that he has, authentic relationship that he has, that he's learning to trust that God's will is better. Him taking away basketball was not just cruelty. It was something more beautiful that's coming, or that's already here.
Yeah. Hi, I listened back with you, and if you're still here, I think that means you enjoyed it, so thank you so much for listening. I think there's only two things I want to say to end this is, one, as I mentioned earlier, this was a really raw and in-the-moment conversation, and I think some of the things that we talked about, some of the concepts that we talked about might need more context to not be misconstrued. For instance, we talked a lot about our faith and about God and how He refines us, and I think it might come across that we think that He puts these hard things into our life, but I don't personally believe that. I think God allows us to go through things that help refine us, but that He doesn't intentionally make us struggle just to struggle, and things like that. The conversation wasn't perfect. I'm just inviting you into real life conversations where there's room to grow, room to learn, and always room to understand better in the future. And the second thing I wanted to say is I appreciate that many of you know that I'm just here trying to be authentic with you and invite you into my story. I totally understand that there may be plenty of people that do not align with everything that I say, and I think that's totally okay. I hope you feel comfortable and that you have space to listen. I have no agenda to try to make you think or believe different. I'm just trying to invite you into what I think, and hopefully you can gain some insight through whatever I say, even if it's not in full agreement. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. You guys are always so awesome. I appreciate it. And let me know if you like the series. I'm excited to maybe make more in the future and to go deeper into maybe sometimes more concept driven, but maybe more creative process driven and stuff like that. So yeah, this video is already long enough. I can only imagine how long it is. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.